Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of our non-league to legend series where we attempt to go from non-league management and win the Champions League. We're back here with the season review and transfer special with Nottingham Forest. This will be our third season in charge with Nottingham Forest, our second full season. If you haven't watched any of the series so far and are just joining us, I will pop a card up in the corner. You can go back to the start of the series and have a look at how we've got on so far. So obviously after the disappointment of the last episode and missing out on the promotion places, we've now got to review the season and try and build a team that's capable of going on and winning the Sky Bet Championship this season. We are going to start with the end of season review and remind ourselves a little bit of how we've got on this season. New arrivals first of all. We did make some very good signings and hopefully some of them will still be here next season. So we brought in Levy Colwill, who came in on loan from Chelsea. It says he made 16 appearances. He didn't. It's because he was here twice. Contributed with 1 goal, 7.41 rating. He's been fantastic in defence. I'm hoping I can put in another request to get him on loan next season. Pietro Pellegrini, 7.4 rating, 41 appearances, 29 goals, ever present really, apart from when he was injured for a month or so and scored bags and bags of goals. And to be honest, those 29 goals could have scored many more if he hadn't gone completely off the boil after January when he decided he wanted to leave. The board are disappointed with his signing. That's mainly because they think we've paid too much for him. I think 15 million, it has now looked like too much over the odds, but if we'd paid that 15 million, he got us into the Premier League, which potentially, if he hadn't gone off the boil in January, he could have done. He would have been a good signing. James Garner next, then coming in from Man United. Obviously, no money spent on him. 44 appearances, 1 goal and 14 assists for us. We are going to play him, I think, next season as the deep line playmaker role. And I think he's going to get more than those 14 assists if he keeps up the run of form he was on towards the end of the season. Deshaun Bernard, another player coming in on a free from Man United. 24-year-old centre-back. He ended up playing 33 games for us and then 7 off the bench. No goals or assists, but 7.15 rating. He's growing into a very good player, which is amazing. He's got that rating considering I didn't really use him at the start of the season because he wasn't my first choice. We've then got Wall come in at the end of the season. 1.7 million spent on him. 11 appearances, a 7.07 rating. The board are satisfied with that due to the lower wage he's on. Alex Milan coming in from Villarreal. Again, no transfer money spent on him. 34 appearances and 15 goals. I think it's very reasonable for a player we didn't spend any money on. We've made some very good free transfers this season, we've got to admit. And then we've got some of our other players. Chris Popov obviously didn't come in to play a great role. He's a player that we're just trying to develop either into someone who will play for us in the future or we sell on. Mickey van der Hart, again, we paid 1.4 million for him, but he is just there to be the backup. The team are very disappointed with that because apparently he's earning too high a wage to sit and be a backup, but we need someone to be the backup goalkeeper. Julian Mason coming in from Lyon, another one, no transfer fee spent on him. 36 appearances, he has got 5 assists. He was more a ball-winning midfielder. I think he's done pretty well. Otterson again, another one. He's ended up making 22 appearances for us this season. The only thing I'm a little bit disappointed with Otterson is I was hoping he would have developed a little bit more than he has, which is slightly unfortunate. He's still only valued at $500,000 to 1.9 million. We spent $1 million on him. I need him to start developing, and depending on what signings we make this summer, maybe he needs to go out on loan. Maybe he just gets moved on. We then got Luciano Valente, who another one, the board are happy with that. We've paid 700,000 for him. He hasn't started a game yet. He's very much there to develop and get moved on at a profit. Season's result then, the board are very happy with how we got on. They expect us to finish around mid-table, I think it was, and by the end of next season be challenging for the playoffs. As it is, we finished 3rd place. We were quite a little bit off the top of the park by the end of it. Crystal Palace overtaken us after they beat us and finished 7 points clear of us. Compared to last season though, 96% of our stadium filled out at any one point. Pietro Pellegrini scoring 25 goals, as we've already mentioned. And if you have a look at this, you kind of see where it went wrong. I mean, we didn't lose until October against Portsmouth. And then after that Portsmouth game, we didn't lose again until the match against Watford in December. And after that one, we didn't lose again until we lost against Portsmouth again. I didn't realise we lost twice against Portsmouth. Apparently Portsmouth are a team we don't like very much. We didn't lose them until February. So we were at the ratio there of losing a match every 2 months or so. And then we just got to the end of the season and completely bottled it, which is very, very unfortunate. Biggest win then, a 5-1 win against Crystal Palace in December. That hasn't aged well, considering they've got promoted and we haven't. Match to remember, a 2-1 win against Swansea. Again, I don't know why that's a match to remember. And then the goal of the season is Brennan Johnson's second goal that we saw in the last episode in the playoffs against Barnsley. Finances then, reputation has stayed the same. Sponsorship annoyingly has gone down, although it has only gone down very, very fractionally. It's 2.64 million for this season. It's 2.65 last season. I would kind of say that's equal, not down, but again, mathematically it is down. Broadcast revenue has gone up a little tiny bit as well. It's pretty much stayed the same. Corporate and hospitality, £500,000 more, just over £500,000. We've gained some competition prize money this season, which we hadn't gained last season. We didn't get any, and we've got 1.7 million instead of 1.26 million from matchday commercial revenue, so another £500,000 there as well. Merchandise sales, we've made £1 million. Pellegrini, Garner, Burke, Johnson and Milan, the top players selling shirts, which is probably not very surprising, apart from maybe Burke, because he hasn't really played a lot this season. The best 11 for the season then is considered to be this. So we've got Ward in goal, back four of Williams, Sorensen, Colwill and Moray. I'd say that's probably about right. Garner, Mason and Yates in midfield. Yeah, that's fully correct as well. Aspria, Milan and Pellegrini. That's the first time I've ever seen one of these that I would go, yeah, that's completely correct actually. Maybe Sorensen's and Colwill would be the other way around, but that's not the end of the world. The players, very right. Accolades this season then. We won 2 Sky Bet Championship Managers in a month. One for September, one for December. Very telling we didn't win any after that. Club Awards, Fans Player of the Season is Pellegrini. Young Player of the Season is Pellegrini. Signing of the Season is James Garner, which is quite surprising because I assumed it would be Pellegrini, but I guess we paid no money for Garner. Brennan Johnson with Goal of the Season, as we previously mentioned. Pellegrini getting top goal scorer. Garner with the most assists. Pellegrini with the most player of the matches and the highest average rating with 7.4, and Deshaun Bernard with the most passes completed in 90 minutes, which I always think's a bit of a weird one. We broke quite a number of records as well. Pellegrini with the most goals scored by a player in a season with 29, most assists from James Garner. Callum Ward with the most clean sheets by a player in a season with 24 clean sheets in all competitions. Pellegrini, 7 Player of the Match awards are the most in a season. The youngest player, which happened off screen, is Ricardinho, who made his debut for the team at the age of 16 years old and 239 days, and the highest transfer fee paid, as we mentioned before, Pietro Pellegrini with his 15.25 million. This is then our best 11 squad of all time. Samba still remains in goal. Williams, Warrior, McKenna and Sanderson are back four. Garner, Ojeda and Yates in midfield. Aspria, Johnson and Pellegrini the remaining 3. So this year we've got Pietro Pellegrini, Williams, Del Taylor, Sorensen, Sanderson, Milan and Levy Colwill all getting added to the squad, which shows just how good of a season we did have. Although I'm very, very surprised not to see Ward in there, if I'm completely honest. I think if you have a season where you get the most clean sheets ever for a club, you should probably be in the Dream 11. This is our initial budgets again. Again, it's not a very high transfer budget, 1.57 million. And then we've got an initial wage budget of 4.25 thousand, which, if I'm not mistaken, is below what we were spending before. 420,000 is about 25k less than what I was spending last episode, because I happened to look at it. We've got less wage budget and not a very big transfer budget, so it's going to be another summer of needing to move players on before we can sign new ones, and we will in a second have a look at what we think and who we think we might be moving on. So this is the club vision expectation meeting. Club want us to develop players using the club's youth system and sign players under the age of 20 for the future. They also want us to work within the wage budget and sign players to sell for profit, so all of that has remained the same. They want us again to get top half in the Sky Bet Championship. We literally just almost got promoted. And then after that, they just want us to work towards getting to the playoffs and then reach the Sky Bet playoffs. I mean, I'll accept it, but I think you need to be more ambitious, guys, given what we've just done, to be honest. Hey, what do I know? I don't own the club. I just manage it to those playoff positions that you apparently don't want us to reach this season. Anyway, what do we want to tell the club here in this end of season meeting? Whatever I tell the players, they're probably going to get annoyed with me. I'm going to say we're going to work hard on trying to make the playoffs. They're all happy with that. Awesome. So they've got the right idea. Interesting to see Pellegrini here being the one that is like, yeah, I'm happy with that, when he wanted to leave, because unless I've missed something, he still wants to leave. He does still want to leave, as does Matthew Moray. So why are you... Oh, yeah, let's reach playoffs. You're probably not going to be a Judas. And we can choose our training camp. Where do we want to go? We can go to the East Midlands in England, or we can go to Spain or Portugal. I mean, I want to go to France. Do I want to go to France? Go to Holland. I never tour Holland. We're going to go to Holland, guys. We don't want to see any of this stuff particularly. And there's some players on loan. We'll look at all of that in a minute. Pellegrini wins Sky Bet Championship Player of the Year. I guess we have to go and congratulate the Judas on that. He doesn't scoop the top goal scorer award though, because Tyler Walker from Barnsley scored 27. If you'd bothered making an effort after January, you would have won that golden boot. Never mind. It's all good. This is, I'm assuming, the Sky Bet players select. I'm assuming this is the team of the season, of which, how many players is that? 9 of the 11 are Watford players. You may as well just put the Watford 11 there, guys. Come on now. Petro Pellegrini managing to get into that 11 now. So now we need to kind of have a look. What do we want to do with the squad? So if we have a look at the squad depth screen, I've kind of got this, any of our 3 squads, but minimum ability of 3 stars, just so we can see where we do really need to improve. And we can see we've obviously got Pellegrini and Alex Milan that can both play as a striker. I do think maybe we need to be getting another striker in. We've obviously got Del Taylor. Milan won't be playing there that much, and I can't see that Pellegrini is going to be staying here. So it's whether we decide to go and invest in a striker in case he stays off of the boil but does stay at the club, or whether we invest in a striker with the assumption he's leaving, or whether we wait for the money from Pellegrini to come in so we can invest in a really good striker. I want to be playing inverted wingers again this side as well, so Espria is going to be here, Milan's going to be over on that side, or Brennan Johnson as well. I think those are probably all right, to be honest. I don't think we need a huge amount more depth. We've obviously got players that can come in there, and we've got 3 reasonable choices either side as well. In the centre, my think here is we've got Garner, and then I'd say our backup, although he's not on here, is Otterson as the deep line playmaker. And then here we're going to be playing with Yates as the box-to-box and Mason as the ball-winning midfielder, but we're going to need a bit more depth in here. In either of those areas, we've got 4 players that can play there, but one of them is going to be here in James Garner. So then we've only got 3 players for 2 positions. We probably need to be investing in that midfield centre spot. Over on the left is kind of the same problem. Sorensen and Colwill are globally our central defenders, so we need a left back. Over on this side, we've got Sanderson, realistically should be a centre-back as well. Barnard, realistically should be a centre-back. Moray's there, but Moray's going to be leaving the club because he wants to leave, and I don't want to keep him here. If you don't want to be here, you can go. And Fonseca, as we can see, not showing up because he's below the 3 stars. So we are going to need a left-back and a right back, and by the looks of it, possibly a goalkeeper. If we can get a better one, that's great. If not, Callum Ward will do. but we can see if we drop maybe down to 2 stars that Van der Hart is now dropped down that pecking order. He's not currently showing up. I'm just seeing as well, we've got Max Elene. Oh yeah, this is the guy I signed from Man City, so he's Sky Bet League 2. I mean, if we could somehow get him developed a little bit more. He's been doing all right in Sky Bet League 1. He's got 7.04 ratings. If we could get him developed a bit more, he'd be a good eventual replacement for Jeffro Williams. So something to think about. But the rest of our players are like below 2 stars or not here at all, so I don't think they're going to be ready for the first team yet. So that's very much going to be, I think, our wish list for the summer. We need maybe another goalkeeper. That's kind of the last one on our list, but we are definitely going to need a left back. We're going to need a right back. We're going to need another central midfielder, and we need to think about a striker. So I'm going to go and try and make some of those transfers, and I'll come back when I've made some. Well, that was possibly the worst transfer window I have ever done in Football Manager. Obviously, we want to sign a minimum of 4 players, those 4 being our left back, our wing back, our midfielder, and potentially a striker. We did also say a goalkeeper, but at a bare minimum, we wanted to improve those areas. And we've just not managed it. It's been a transfer window of not being able to afford the players we wanted, players that were available on a free, either going to other clubs or on occasion being refused a work permit. So we actually haven't really done a lot of business. We'll have a look at the outs first over on this side. We've got Moray. He's now left the club, gone over to Wolfsburg for 4.1 million. Obviously, I did say at the end of, I believe, last episode, he wanted to leave if we didn't get promoted. We promised him we would get promoted. We didn't end up managing that, of course. So he has moved on to Wolfsburg. We have made quite a nice profit on him now. About just under £3 million for him, so at least it is financially beneficial to the club. Oliver Burke is also now gone. He's gone over to Empoli in Italy on a free. This was like a pre-contract signing, so he signed with them, or agreed to sign with them in January. We have got a few players gone out on loan as well. Chris Popov, who played a couple of games for us last season, he is probably the main one of those ones that has gone out on loan. Luciano Valente has gone over to Exeter. He played a few games for us last season as well. We've only actually managed to make 2 signings, one of which is Levi Colwill. So obviously he would already on loan with us last season. We did manage to get him to come back eventually after a lot of badgering. So he returns to the side as probably our first choice centre-back. He also does provide that depth on the left. Aspria has stayed with the club, and our only other player we've managed to sign, 3.5 million. I think this could end up being a little bit of a steal, is a Brazilian striker called Gustavo Stropasolas. That's how we're pronouncing that. 3.5 million, but actually a lot of room to grow and a lot of potential. Looking at this holy trinity I look for in my strikers, he's got 15 dribbling, 16 finishing and 15 first touch, and still a lot of room to develop, so he could end up being a fantastic player. And the whole reason I signed him when I did see him is because I kind of assumed that Pietro Pellegrini would be on his way out of the club. I assumed someone would come in and either trigger his release clause or at least make a big enough bid that we wouldn't be able to refuse it. But as it is, no one's actually even coming near him. He is showing up still as wanted by a couple of clubs. He seems constantly wanted by someone. So Sporting Lisbon here, I believe that is, we can see he's wanted with. But he hasn't actually left. So we've kind of invested in a striker, used all of our money, and no one else has left. So our team's basically the same as it was at the start of this episode. We have got another transfer deal going on at the moment. We're trying to sign Raul Bellanova, who's a right back from Bordeaux. We're having a look at him potentially coming in. But globally, this is exactly the same squad that we had at the start of the episode. Not a lot has changed, apart from the fact we've sort of had to resign ourselves to the fact that this is probably our starting 11 for the season. It's quite similar to what we had last season. I guess the main difference here is Ojeda is in midfield at the moment. Ryan Yates would probably be here rather than Mason normally as well, and Sanderson's out here on the right replacing Moray because we haven't managed to find a ideal replacement for him yet. And from there, it's kind of filling in the gaps with our youth players. For example, out on the left, we have got Colwill who can go out there. We've also got Sorensen who can play out there, and then we've got Max Eleni who was on loan last season at Northampton, did an okay job in Sky Bet League 1. He is showing up as a Sky Bet League 1 standard player with the potential to Premier Division. He's going to have to be probably our backup choice, maybe our third choice depending on the day at the moment. But those sort of players now, we're going to have to start relying on them. The same with Silvano Voss. Probably not ideal at the moment, but can maybe do a job in centre midfield when we need him to. We've got the likes as well of Benjamin Otterson, who was obviously with us last season, but is going to now be the backup choice in this defensive midfielder position behind Garner. And yeah, we are very much going to have to go with the team we've got for the season and try and make the best of it, because don't really have the financial clout to go and do a lot else. Obviously, the schedule now for the season has been released. We open up with 2 games in the Championship against Swansea and then Blackburn, who are newly promoted. We've got Millwall in the middle of that in the Carabao Cup first round. Millwall again in the Championship. Wolves, who are newly relegated, and Hull are newly promoted. So it's a little bit of a mix going on there in those first 5 games. Hopefully we can go away and get something out of those ones. We will come back in the next episode for those first 2 games of the season, and hopefully the squad that we assembled last season and that we have very, very lightly added to this season can go out and just improve on what they did last time. We had a really good start to the season last season. If we can finish it like we started the last one, we'll be absolutely fine. It was that poor drop of form that cost us this promotion last season. Hopefully this time the guys can see it through. If you have enjoyed today's video, guys, and you do want to follow along with the rest of the series and see how we get on with Nottingham Forest, please do pop below and hit the subscribe button. It is completely free. If you hit the notification bell as well, YouTube will let you know every time we upload, and you can follow along with this series. Until next time though, guys, thank you very much for coming over and watching today. I will see you over on the next episode for our first 2 games of the season.